sharing what that available money is at the end of the year per that revenue sharing agreement. That's $30 million as well. We don't use these things for operating. So when you say we can use this to reduce the property tax next year, that's a bit of a slippery slope, because these are one-time expenditures, not going into operating costs, which is the bulk of your budget and your tax rate year to year. So I just think we need to be really clear on Mr. Vihstadt. I will thank you for preempting me and acknowledging that we didn't get this till late, but you didn't mention it was 5 o'clock today that we got your motion. And I hope that if something changes in the process, that we would get it sooner, because it's been out there for a long time to know. These are really fair questions and interesting conversation. I think it's very interesting. On the other hand, what we have in front of us is a rational process that is meant to reflect the values of this board.
I appreciate your comment, Mr. Vihstadt, and you have my pledge that next fall that we will do better. But just with respect, I did not mention property tax. I believe I mentioned the overall tax burden as a consideration.
Mr. Tejada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I try to be as brief as I can. I mean, I'm just sitting here a little bit of incredulous about this proposal that Mr. Vihstadt and Ms. Garvey have put forward here. And let me just say that, sure, there will be 3 of these board members and 2 new ones coming up in January 1st, 2016. But right now you have to deal with us, with me. I'm sitting on this board, and I'm having a voice and a vote on how we move forward. To put it mildly, I would just say that this proposal seems to me unreasonable and unneeded. To just add a little bit, I mean, I don't want to go through every single thing that I see here, but just to use an example, the comment about affordable housing in AHEF, we just went through a major conversation to adopt an affordable housing master plan, in which all 5 county board members voted for it, notwithstanding that there were people out there who are really generally opposed, and that Ms. Garvey and Mr. Vihstadt in particular worked closely with, and perhaps this is a little bit of buyer's remorse for the Coalition for Arlingtonians for Reasonable Development, or whatever the heck they're called, which the bottom line really they oppose affordable housing after saying nice words that they support or they want affordable housing, but really, and as in the attempt that we see here from Mr. Vihstadt, sitting to my right, and Ms. Garvey, who's going to face the voters next year, is to really gut affordable housing, notwithstanding some nice pronunciations for how they support it's sort of like, when someone tells you, hey, I got some pretty good real estate in Florida that is solid. You just got a little quicksand around 99% of the land. But, other than that, it's really good. And the fast talk is, and they can sell you something that sounds really good. But at the end, really, they're not really backing it up with the actual decisions and positions. This is a placeholder for budget direction. The full process will go on, will continue, I should say, right? The best way to say it will continue. So to make this kind of attempt now to really, this is really disingenuous, and yes, frankly, when it came in at 5 o'clock, I took a quick look at it, but we've been discussing this for a long time. We've had work session with staff. We work hard to get to where we are now. I frankly find it really. Well, I'll stop there, Madam Chair. I'm going to support this because I can go on and how incredulous absurd this proposal is.
Mrs. Hynes? Mrs. Garvey, everybody's had a chance to speak but me, and I think I would like a chance to speak, and then we're going to take the vote on Mr. Vihstadt's amendment, and then we'll vote on the main motion.
Most people have spoken multiple times. I believe I've spoken once. I simply wanted to address very briefly a comment that Mr. Vihstadt said. I was not going to engage Mr. Tejada. And all I would like to say is, that I don't believe either Mr. Vihstadt or I use the word irrational. I would not. I think our staff has done a very professional, very rational job, caught between 2 sort of opposing views of how we do this. And I think they're handling it very professionally and very well, and I appreciate that. I believe the approach that Mr. Vihstadt and I are advocating here is simply a little more disciplined, a little more intentional. That's all it is. And it's simply a view of how you govern, and I think we have a difference of opinion of that, and I think reasonable people can disagree, and in this case, I think we do. Thank you.
I do want to speak just for a moment about the things that the manager proposed. We identify as having some funds attached to them in FY17. And I want to talk about them quite specifically. We have spent hours and hours and hours this year talking about economic development and the need to reposition this community so that we can attract new and different tenants. And the $500,000 that's a placeholder in 17 is meant to be some of those incentives which will allow us to smoothly transition between 16 and 17 and keep doing that work and not have a question about whether there will be any of that incentive money there. The $500,000 that Mr. Vihstadt proposes be reallocated from public safety staffing is, again, a conversation that has been going on in this community for really the last 5 years, particularly about the number of times that we have had to lock down the jail because we don't have enough deputies available to keep it open and run it the way we want to. This $500,000 is a placeholder in 17 so that we can continue to keep solving that problem. The $8.2 million in AHIF is a number that we created in AHIF, in the Affordable Housing Investment Fund, has been the same number since 2012, the last time I chaired this board. We have each year from our savings taken this one-time money and said it's appropriate to put it into this AHIF fund to leverage $3 more in order to achieve affordable housing, bricks and mortar, in our community. And we just passed a plan that says we want to do this in more places than we've ever done it before in some different ways. And we can't achieve that goal if what we do is not dedicate some money in advance so that our staff knows, our partners know, new people we want to attract to this business know that we're going to have money to talk about and do deals with. The money for land acquisition, my goodness, have we not heard about land acquisition since the January meeting? Almost every meeting here, community members, our own community facility studies saying, there's not enough land in Arlington, we don't make it now, and we're saying, well, we're not going to put any money into 17 to help meet this need that we've been hearing about all year long. And finally, my personal favorite, capital maintenance, which I have worked on tirelessly for 20 years, which took me 5 years on this board to get an increase and a plan not only to increase the amount of money, but to catch up on the deferred maintenance that we had. This $1.7 million is the down payment on catching up. It is what allows us to do more playgrounds and fix more facilities and do more of that kind of work. And gol darn it, if staff doesn't know that money's there, they don't have the planning in place to spend the money. So if we are going to invest in this community and we are going to move forward on these things, which the community has told us, I swear to God, every month this year, and almost every month last year, then goodness gracious, there's nothing random about this. It's all supported by plans. It's all based on things our community has told us over and over and over in the budget matter. And doing this smooths out our ability to deliver these services to people who care. With that said, I'm going to call for the motion for a vote on Mr. Vihstadt's motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No.
No.
That motion fails 2-3. We now move back to the main motion, which is the one that I made to approve the manager's recommendation. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. That is Mr. Vihstadt?
Aye.
You voted aye?
My amendment failed, but we don't have a choice.
Okay. So that motion passes 4-1 with Mrs. Garvey voting in opposition. Okay.